Hi, welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. I'm Kara and today we are building a strawberry concoction in our kitchen. And so we're using Build a Drink and Build a Drink add-on, So Smooth, honeycomb stencil, the coordinating die to the giant birthday messages, scripty enjoy, and the sentiment from On the Beach, You've Earned It. We'll start by creating the kitchen, and I'm making a backsplash with the honeycomb stencil, but I wanted to figure out how far down to go with that backsplash, and it ends up being about 2 inches of a backsplash on my 4¼ by 5½ inch card. I have the honeycomb stencil in place and some salty ocean distress ink. I'm just ink blending that, trying to keep kind of a light hand. I'm not looking for consistent coverage throughout the hexagons. I want a variation of the tile colors just to give it more of an authentic look. It's really easy to line up the stencil to cover an entire background. I'm going to create a second layer to my backsplash with Lawn Fawn's clear stencil paste. This time I covered up the extra little hexagon holes with my painter's tape, and I'm going to tape this down just so that it doesn't shift as I'm putting on this paste. And I'm going at kind of a 45-degree angle with my spatula to get nice coverage in those hexagons. I won't be able to move on to the next section until this one dries. So while I'm waiting for that, I thought we'd put the counter together, and this is going to be a marble counter. So I picked up some shaving cream at the dollar store. Well, it's $1.25 now, but the dollar store. And making sure that I have all the air bubbles kind of out of that. Mix it up. I'm using Distress Ink refills, Salty Ocean, and Hickory Smoke. I don't want too much, just 3 drops of each so that I can spread it around. I'm not looking for a heavily marbled look, I guess. I don't know. You're never going to get the same marbling twice, but let's look at how we end up here. I dip my white cardstock into the shaving cream and just kind of tapping it down, making sure that it's all covered. And as I lift it up, I can see that I didn't get a lot on one half of it, but the other one is heavily marbled. And I'm actually loving that side a lot more, and that's what we're going to use for the counter. I'm dipping one more piece of white cardstock into that shaving cream because I want my inside sentiment to kind of reflect the outside counter. I got a really nice design on that piece, and I'm going to use that for a scripty enjoy. So I'll cut that out using my Big Shot, and here it is. I really like that marble effect. It's too bad we can't really get marble countertops out of a $1.25 can of shaving cream. Well, now that the backsplash is dry, I can go on to the next section, and I'm using that clear stencil paste again. It takes maybe about an hour to dry. I'm not really sure. I waited a couple hours while I was doing other things, but time lapse, I'll show you. I'm on to the third section now. And once that's dry, I will have a beautiful glazed backsplash for my kitchen. I'm trimming off the stencil paste that's around the edges, and now you can see that I have this great shine to my hexagon backsplash. I put the blender back up there from So Smooth to get an idea of how wide I want my counter to be, and it comes out to be in about 1 inch. And I cut 2 sizes of thin strips to use as the counter edge, and I end up going with the smaller one, which is about 1/8 of an inch. I'm using Lawn Fawn's light brown wood grain cardstock for the cabinets, and I'm ink blending with Gathered Twigs Distress Ink just to show off that wood grain a little bit more. Those doors are each 1¼ inch wide, and the length I haven't determined yet. I'm just keeping them long because I can clip them off at the base of the card. Ink blending the oval kitchen table to match the backsplash. Realize that it's a little bluer, so I want to green it up a bit with some salvaged patina. This kitchen table will help with the perspective so that the large drink will be in the foreground and the smaller blender will be in the background. I used the Build-A-Drink umbrella to make the handles for the cabinets out of some metallic cardstock. With all the details complete, it's time to put this kitchen together, and I'm starting by using 1/4 inch double-sided tape on the back of this backsplash panel to keep it from warping, and that's going on my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. Then adding some base cabinets with my tape runner, and then the counter, which is going to overlap the backsplash and the base cabinets, so I don't have to be too specific with those sizes. Using lawnfawn's jumbo glue tube to adhere that counter edge and the cabinet doors. Now, looking at the colors in this kitchen, it reminds me more of a 1960s bathroom than it does a modern kitchen, but that's the fun part of cards. They do not have to look like my kitchen, which would not be this wild. All right, finishing up with the handles, just gluing them on, and now we can make the things that go in the kitchen. So I have items from So Smooth stamp set, and I have some Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink to ink those up and stamp them down. I'll clean off my stamps with my Shammy, and then add some ice into the blender and a couple more strawberries. Out of Lawn Fawn's older sets, So Smooth has to be one of my favorites, and I love that the drink in there matches the same shape as the drink in the Build-A-Drink add-on. I color the ice tray with the BG000 and BG02, and also using those two colors to add reflection onto the blender and the glass. So it kind of looks like it's reflecting the color from the tile onto those shiny areas. I'm starting those strawberries out with an RV23 because I think it's a good match to Lawn Fawn's Guava Cardstock. That's what I cut those strawberries out of from the Build-A-Drink add-on. And now adding some margarita mix to the blender. I'm using the RV23 and RV21. I'm going to come back later and do those ice cubes. Want to keep those a little lighter than everything else. Here's the RV10. Going up, just adding more margarita mix, and then filling in those ice cubes too. So they look like they're in the mixture, but not, I don't know, they still show that they're clearer than the mixture itself. Shading those strawberries now with the RV25, and I'll also shade the Guava Cardstock strawberry with the same RV25 and then blend them all back in with the RV23. I'm giving the umbrella some dimension with the same colors, and I used the Stripes and Sprinkles 6x6 paper pack, the pink sprinkle paper for the umbrella, and I just remember how fun those umbrellas were when I was a kid. If my parents would go out and leave us with a babysitter and come back, they'd bring those little umbrellas, and oh, I thought those were just the best. All right, so I thought that this pink was a little too pink in comparison to my die-cut drink. So I put in a little bit of the R20 and R000 to kind of change the color a little bit to match the pearlescent vellum that I'm using for the Build-A-Drink add-on margarita. Some YG03 for the strawberry tops, and that matches Lawn Fawn's cilantro paper pretty well. And then I'll come back in with a YG09 to shade both the stamped strawberries and the die-cut strawberries. Then I'll finish by blending them in with the YG03. All right, onto the blender. I'm using different cool grays for that, and I'm coloring this up like my blender. I have a Vitamix blender that I've had for, oh gosh, about 13 years now. I love that thing. I don't make margaritas with it, mostly green smoothies, but it's one of those things I saved up for, and I really do enjoy it. I don't enjoy many appliances. I'm not a big cook, but but I do enjoy my blender. Using 100 to color the feet and the levers and knobs, and then some white gel pen just to add a little shine to everything. I have it on the glass and the strawberries and everywhere. Next, I'll use the coordinating dies and run them all through my big shot, and we'll have all our images cut out. Moving on now to the fun of arranging the kitchen. I'm just deciding where everything's going to go, and I want everything on the counter to be on the left side because the right side is where I'm going to have the table and the big glass. Here's the matching little glass, and I'll put it on the left of the blender, and then the little umbrella just lying on the counter there. I'm going to adhere everything down with my tape runner, and then I can start putting together our Build-A-Drink glass. Now, this is the Build-A-Drink add-on, but parts I'm using are from Build-A-Drink, like the umbrella and the straw. The Build-A-Drink and Build-A-Drink add-on both have some wonderful details, some two-part pieces. So I'm gluing the top of the umbrella onto the umbrella frame, and I'll glue the caps of the strawberries onto the strawberries. And then I used a piece of woodgrain cardstock for the pick, and the top of the pick is sparkle cardstock, and that comes from the spring pack. Now there's also a die that will cut the top of the drink off where you want it. I decided that I am going to just tear this. I'm making a mark at the level of where I want the drink to stop in the glass, and then just tear that. And I think it looks like a frosty margarita with that pearlescent pink vellum. And now I can glue the glass onto the margarita, and I will use some worn lipstick distress ink to ink blend on the back of it so that it has a bit of shading or variation in the color. I'm using a white gel pen to give that reflective look to the glass. It's interesting when I look at a glass in my kitchen, it does have some gray look to it, and then white, and obviously the reflections of what's around it. So that's why I chose to start with the narwhal cardstock and then use white to show the reflective components of the glass. I added a little black licorice cardstock to the back of the strawberries for the seeds, slipped the straw into the glass, and then I want to have that pick going through the strawberry. So I cut a little notch and I'm poking a needle through, and now that pick can skewer through my strawberry perfectly. Before I glue all these pieces together, I want to decide where that table is going to sit. I'm making some marks with a pencil, and then I'm going to glue within that area where I made those marks, and then I'll trim off the rest of the table with my scissors. And I was really surprised on how much smaller this table looks when the rest of it was cut off. Really, really does look a lot smaller. Now I can glue on the glass. I'm not gluing the front rim of the glass because I'm going to be putting the straw through that and also the little strawberry. So I want to keep that free and open so I can put those in, glue those in there. I'll show you, the umbrella looks super cute inside this glass, but I'm actually going to put it on the table so it gives a little bit more of that pink down in the corner there, and then add my strawberry as well. Well, that's one busy kitchen, and so I decided I will put the sentiment on the inside of this card. So I'm going to use my ruler to level up that small sentiment and then stamp that with fish tank ink from Lawnfawn. Using that same ink, I'm going to ink blend around some parts of that scripty Enjoy so that it shows up a little bit better on the white background. So it says, "Enjoy, you've earned it," which I think this would be a great card to give to somebody after doing something successful, and you could maybe pair it with some margarita mix or maybe a new blender. No, well, all right, if you have the money, a new blender. Can't forget to dot the I, and then I'm gonna add a little more shine to that glass, and this time right on the vellum, so it's looks like it's all part of that glass together. And here we are, the 1960s kitchen of your dreams. Well, no matter your taste in decorating, I hope you enjoyed the card today and it inspired you to make a little kitchen of your own on a card. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.